In today's video, we'll be going over the current conditions. As always, we're going to be breaking down the upcoming severe weather event, well, and ongoing as well. We're going to be breaking down the upcoming pattern also. Now, let's get straight into things. And today, we actually have a pretty easy one here on the current radar conditions because it's generally quiet outside of the eastern United States. As you can see, there is quite a bit of activity up here. We do have some showery activity here in the Rockies, but it is pretty sporadic and not really major. And then also for the Northwest, we have a little bit going on. But outside of that, I mean, it's much quieter than it has been for the past few days, and really this eastern United States region here is the most active out of anywhere. For the Northwest, we do have these showers moving across, but you can tell that a lot of the activity is actually up in Canada. For northern Washington, and I mean very far northern Washington, we have basically minimal showers going on. And then for southern Washington, there's basically nothing going on. So that's mostly exclusive for the northern regions there. We do have some snow and rain showers here for the central and Rockies of the United States here, so southern Rockies and then the central United States. We can see that there is snowfall here for portions of Wyoming and Colorado within there. We have snowfall here on the eastern end of things and on the western things over here. And really the heaviest precipitation is happening up here in Wyoming and then also up here in South Dakota and Nebraska. That's the two heaviest pockets we have at this point. Now, there is some showery activity down here in New Mexico, so some minor showers down here kind of sticking around. For those regions, let's see. Okay, for North Dakota, we do have a couple of sporadic showers up here as well, but again, nothing major whatsoever, and those might even be cleared up by this morning by the time everybody's waking up. We do have some isolated showers and thunderstorms taking place for Arkansas, Oklahoma mostly, but even portions of Missouri and probably Kansas is going to start getting some of those as well. On the Oklahoma side of things, we have much more major thunderstorms going on over here as opposed to the areas here in Arkansas. We have heavier precipitation showing up here as these are heading northward towards Kansas and Missouri as well there. So that's going to be a concern for the day today. Let's check down in Florida because really at this point we don't have much of that precipitation on shore right now. But the flow is kind of from south to north, so we might start to get some of these pretty tropical thunderstorms heading through like this, like we've seen over here. But offshore of the East Coast, we have tons of storminess over there for the Bahamas going on, so it's quite stormy over there, which is pretty common. We do see that there is quite a bit of thunderstorm activity going on here for the eastern United States, especially Georgia. And that was happening for the Smoky Mountains as well, but those really dissipated as they crossed over the mountains. Again, a pretty typical thing that happens there, but these mountains really ate up those storms in there, as you can see, because before they headed through, they were pretty darn intense, and then those mountains really just tore them up. But here on the southern end, where there is no mountains to tear them up, we can see that they're still going pretty strong. We did have some thunderstorms roll through last night for a lot of these regions. And we can see those offshore at this point. There is still some activity left over here in North Carolina, as you can see. So that is definitely something. And a lot of these storms are going to redevelop east of those Appalachian Mountains. And they're actually going to head through these regions later on today. So we can expect some more thunderstorm activity east of the Appalachians. So really what happens is typically, I'm just going to break this down real quick. We have thunderstorm activity here on the western end of things. Then what ends up happening is these Appalachian Mountains tear up these showers. We can see that happening. Again, I'm going to circle this region. We see them getting torn up in there. But once they reach this corridor here, east of the mountains, I'm going to draw this very carefully. This presents an opportunity, especially on warmer days, which today is going to be a warmer day, for these thunderstorms to reignite after heading over those mountains. And throughout the day, they're going to spend their time over here intensifying and then continue on as mature storms for the more coastal regions. Usually this time of year, since the ocean is cooler, we see these storms start to die down as they approach the coast. That is a pretty typical thing as well. I like thunderstorms personally. And here in Eastern Virginia, that always really aggravates me when they weaken once they approach my area. That's always been a pet peeve of mine ever since I was like 5 years old. Now, as we head further north, we can see that this activity is less in the form of thunderstorms and more in the form of, I would say, heavier showers here for Northern Virginia, Northern West Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Maine. That's a much longer way of saying New England and surrounding states. But we do have heavier showers in here, especially indicated by those yellows. So we see some pockets of that in here. Also up here, we see some of that going on. So these yellows are going to be the heavier, more moderate to heavy regions of rainfall. The greens are going to be your more light to moderate rainfall taking place. And it's just going to be a rainy day, it looks like, for the Northeast, especially for your morning commute. So keep that in mind as well. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on. And we're going to talk about that modeled guidance. We're going to break down everything from our simulated radar to our total precipitation, to the total snowfall, to the upcoming temperature pattern, and then we're really going to break down the upcoming days of severe weather. So keep going here. Let's see. We see this storminess really ignites for this region, and pay attention to the eastern United States. Like I mentioned, we're going to see these areas, well, it's kind of like in here, east of the Appalachian Mountains. Pay attention because we see some of those storms start to build in there. As you can see, this by 8 p.m. this evening. So we see it's quieter here. The mountains eat them up. This is by this morning, and we see them reignite in the eastern United States. So that is what this model is indicating. We see the storminess here for the coastal regions. So those storms will have time to reignite. We do expect some severe weather throughout here today as well. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on, even in towards tomorrow morning. We're going to see more of that activity in there. We're also going to talk about that later on. And then eventually the threat really becomes more further north eventually. We do see that this area of storminess is going to head eastward again. The east is just going to be seeing very stormy conditions. Here, this is by Friday into Saturday, so we see some storminess there. For the most part, we see a lot of that activity by that evening as well. So stormy this weekend. And that's going to be Mother's Day as well. Don't want anybody to forget. But Sunday is going to be Mother's Day, May 8th, I think. Maybe I forgot. But we do see that there is some showery activity throughout the eastern United States here. Also here for the north central United States. And then also some snowy activity for the northwest as our next storm is kind of rolling in here. A pretty major storm. We see a 984 millibar low pressure center located up here and a 999 down here. So these are kind of acting as a double trouble threat up here, causing a lot of snowfall and rainfall for these regions. And really the jet stream pattern is like crazy by this point. I mean, super large ridge here in the eastern and central United States, especially the central United States where things are like this. There will be some colder air lingering for the eastern seaboard as we saw last in yesterday's video, but we could tell the pattern is moving like this. This is something that we have not seen at all this year. This is a new pattern, I would say. A very unusual pattern. Just persistent storminess out west, and then almost like a east to west flow here, which is very unusual, especially this time of year. I mean, we see these storms. Look at this. Things just shift to where everything's heading in like this. Those areas are insanely large, like this. We'll see a shift. I'm gonna play it back. So you see things are kind of working as normal here, and then watch about Monday, May 9th. Check this out. So that is unusual. We would have storms heading onshore to the eastern seaboard if this was the case. It's almost in a tropical-like fashion. Very crazy. I saw this yesterday on the model and it blew my mind, and I'm anticipating this event because it is unusual. So we will see what kind of impacts that brings. But that's for the 9th through the 14th at least. We have that kind of a flow. So that's going to be really interesting to track. Now, as far as total precipitation is concerned, here we expect large amounts here for the central and eastern United States, especially in the reds, and also for the western or northwestern United States, better yet, as there's persistent storminess up there. If you're anywhere in the white, you expect basically nothing. If you're in the grays, it's going to be really anything below 0.1 inches of rainfall. Greens will be 0.1 to 0.5 inches of rainfall. Your blue colors are going to be half an inch to an inch of rainfall. Your yellows is going to be an inch to 2 inches of rainfall, and then your reds is going to be 2 to 5 inches of rainfall. And then our brown areas, which I can tell you right now, the Northwest, I think, is the only region featuring this color where it starts to turn a grayish brown in there. That is where we expect 5 to 10 inches of rainfall, which is no surprise because we see persistent storminess just heading through like this. It's the most intense right there at the coastline. Now, for total snowfall, we're really just receding every single day, but this area does actually expect quite a bit of snowfall with persistent storminess, a persistent trough. Jet stream kind of just does this the entire late portion of the model run. There is storminess and colder air that's able to make its way from east to west, which is very weird because the ocean is so cold that it brings colder than normal conditions to this region for a pretty extended period of time. But that's not coming from the north, that's coming from the water. So it's all of it's very unusual. And again, it's something that excites me because it's just very, very strange. Speaking of that, what we're going to do here is we're just going to move on. well, I should probably tell you the color tables, shouldn't I? I don't know why I'm getting ahead of myself here. Grays are going to be a dusting, if anything. Blues will be 2 to 6 inches of snowfall. Purples will be 6 to 10. Your pinks are going to be 10 to 20, and then your pastels are going to be 20 to 48 inches plus. There. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and talk about the upcoming temperature pattern. I can't wait to show it to you guys. So right now, what we're dealing with is quite warm conditions up here for the southeastern and northeastern United States, and really cold for the central and the western United States here. We see a lot of bottled up cold. Things aren't going to get interesting until pretty late in the pattern, so keep that in mind, but we do have warmer temperatures still for the southeast by the time we're reaching Thursday, May 5th. Also here for the kind of western United States. Let's keep going with this. Saturday afternoon, we have pretty average temperatures for the east. We're seeing areas with below normal and areas with above normal temperatures. I'm just going to say it's average because it's easier to say that. But we do have warmer than normal conditions for the west here, and then for the northwest, there's a pretty exclusive area of below normal temperatures there. Now, things by the time we're reaching about Saturday, May 7th, become pretty decisively below normal here, as we were just in transition, but this is by Saturday at about 2 p.m. on May 7th. We have below normal temperatures for the northeast, and then above normal temperatures for the central and the southeastern United States, kind of horseshoeing around that region. Still cold for the northwest, though. As we continue things on to Sunday, May 8th, remember that flow is going to change in one day on May 9th. That's when we saw that happen. The west is cold, the central is warm, and then the east coast is just far below normal temperatures, literally just by itself. May 9th, look at that. The flow, remember, is coming in like this off the ocean, and it brings colder than normal conditions. The jet stream is probably about like this. So obviously that cold is not coming from Canada, it's coming from somewhere else, and in this case, it's the ocean. This is coming from Canada right here, out west. This is far below normal temperatures coming from the Arctic regions, but that is a completely different type of cool down. Look at all that cold air on the east coast just coming off the ocean. This is 2 p.m. on Tuesday, May 10th. I mean, clearly there is a different air mass making its way in just like this. Crazy stuff here. Let's keep going with this. This is going to be Wednesday, May 11th. Crazy, crazy stuff. Thursday, still dealing with that. Obviously, again, the jet stream is clearly about, well, it's even more dramatic than that. It's like this. Very warm temperatures up there for the north central United States in the long range and the northeastern United States, as you can see, with just this cold air moving in for the southeast. But you guys up here, especially, are going to be loving it if you're looking forward to spring and summer-like conditions. I mean, this area is very, very far above normal. And really, we don't break that pattern. I mean, there's a little less of it by here at the end of the model run at about 8 p.m. on Friday, May 13th. But there's still some colder air here for the southeast. But still, the jet stream is stuck in this type of a pattern. We're really locked in. I mean, as you can tell, for at least almost a week, I would say 5 or 6 days here in this type of a jet stream pattern with far below normal temperatures out west and far above normal temperatures here in the central especially, but also the northeastern United States. So that is the upcoming temperature pattern. I know it's a little bit of a confusing one, probably one you guys aren't used to, but hopefully I did a good job explaining what is happening here, kind of in a more simple terms, just so that you're not looking at colored maps, but really putting it in perspective of directions and everything that's actually happening to cause this. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're finally going to talk about that upcoming severe weather because I have a ton to show you guys. So this is today's categorical outlook. We do have an enhanced risk here, but we're just going to work our way from the bottom up. If you're anywhere in the lighter green, you have a general thunderstorm risk. This means general thunderstorms could occur, but really we don't expect severe weather, but it's really possible anywhere. So heed all those watches, warnings, and advisories at all times. Now, for the two darker green regions, that's our marginal risk areas. We have one here for the south central United States with our main severe weather region. And then again, east of the Appalachians are here. East of those regions, these storms are going to build back in potentially and cause some isolated severe weather in there. The two darker green regions, we expect isolated severe weather to take place. So there, and then also here with our main severe weather region. The yellow area there is our slight risk, and that's where we expect scattered severe weather to take place. And then the orange area there for northern Texas and southern Oklahoma is our enhanced risk, and that's where we expect widespread severe weather, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and break down the individual outlooks here. Damaging wind, first off, we have a 5% chance within 25 miles of a given location there within the green. This is all based on 25 miles of a given location, by the way. In the yellow, we have a 15% chance, and then in the red, we have a 30% chance. So that's a pretty high chance of damaging wind. That's a pretty large threat. So for this area, we do have a 5% chance of damaging wind. That looks to be pretty much the main threat, but also there's a chance of hail. So We're want to keep that in mind as well. I just switched to the hail outlook. We have a 5% chance of hail within the 2 green regions. We have a 15% chance of hail within the yellow region, and then we have a 30% chance of hail there within the red region. So that's a very large chance of hail as well. And then we also have the significant hatched region there in the black that you could see there. And that is where very large hail looks to be possible, 2-inch diameter or larger hail, which is going to obviously be damaging hail at that point, very severe. Now, for the tornado outlook, for the East Coast, we do not have a 2% chance even, so that's good news. But here for the South Central United States, we do have a 2% chance of tornadoes there in the green, a 5% chance of tornadoes there in the brown, and then a 10% chance of tornadoes there within the yellow. So that is a pretty elevated risk of tornadoes. We're going to want to keep that in mind throughout the day today. We do have that significant hatched region popping back up for this tornado outlook as well, which indicates EF2 or larger tornadoes are going to be possible. So basically EF3, 4, and 5 will be on the table for today, unfortunately. So heed all those watches, warnings, and advisories, of course. Now, for the day 2 categorical outlook, things don't even look that much better. We also have enhanced risk on this day. We have 2 general thunderstorm risks, one up here for kind of the northwest, and then one here for the southeast and the central United States. And then we have our marginal risk in here. Again, the light green areas where we expect general thunderstorms, but severe weather will be possible, of course, but just not expected. The darker green region here, again, is where isolated severe weather is expected. The yellow area in there is where we expect scattered severe weather, and then the orange area there is where we expect widespread severe weather to take place in our enhanced risk area. Again, for the individual outlooks, first off the wind, 5% chance there in the green, 15% chance there in the yellow, and then a 30% chance there within the red region. For hail, we have a little bit of a lower risk here. We have a 5% chance of hail there in the green, and then a 15% chance there within the yellow, which is still a pretty elevated risk of hail, but it's not as bad as the day before. And then for tornadoes, we have a 2% chance of tornadoes there within the green, and then a 5% chance there within the brown. Oftentimes when we have back-to-back pretty bad severe weather days lined up, I've noticed that if the first day, like today, ends up being much worse for tornadoes than expected, if it ends up being a really bad tornado day, I wouldn't be surprised to see them bring this one up a bit, like spread out that brown region and then add in even maybe a yellow region, depending on how today goes as far as tornadoes, because it can be an indicator. The day before, the day prior, with the same exact storms that are just going to be a little bit further east, it can be indicative of things to come. So I've noticed that depending on that first day out of the 2 severe weather days, they will kind of take that and adjust the day after based on how things go. So that might be what's going on here. Regardless, heed every single watch, warning, and advisory anywhere there will be tornadoes possible, so keep that in mind. For the day 3 categorical outlook, and we do not have any more individual outlooks, that's only for day 1 and 2, so we're just going to go over the rest of the categorical and probability forecasts. We have 3 general thunderstorm risk area there, one there for the northwest, one there for the north central, and one for the southeast, and that's where, again, general thunderstorms are expected, but heed every watch, warning, and advisory because anything is possible. The darker green region there is our isolated severe weather region, and then the yellow areas were scattered. Severe weather will be possible on Friday, May 6th, or day 3. Now, for the extended range, we have 3 days to go over, actually. So for Saturday, May 7th, we have a 15% chance of severe weather here for Nebraska and Kansas. That's going to translate to a slight risk once this is within the 3-day period. So tomorrow we will see, but this is going to translate to a slight risk, or at least that's what's expected. Day 5, which is going to be Sunday, May 8th, we have another one of those, but now it's for Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, and Kansas there. This also translates to a slight risk again. And then we have another one here on Monday, May 9th, for Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin. So it moves a little bit further north this time, but this also translates to a slight risk. So we have 6 days of upcoming severe weather we need to talk about. And really, we're going to be talking about this for days to come, so keep that in mind. Stick with us daily as we track these things. For today's confidence tab, we're still at a 5 out of 6 as all these events are happening with our current lineup. So I feel fairly confident in pretty much everything that we talked about. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons, Bill Craich, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Leonard LePan, Mandy Birchfield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes as well. I would also like to thank our Diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Conley, Noah Harley, Michael Catalessa, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Bill Dallas, Gary's, and John Khaleesi also. I'd also like to thank our channel members, Catbite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.